Conversation.
Donald Trump and I have become fast friends. What's that, Donald? You want me to become your new running mate? I naturally accept.
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Chad McCanna.
Andy Robinson? What? Hi. I'm Hyle Russell.
Hyle, you slept through your honeymoon.
No.
And wedding, apparently.
Yeah. They had to prop me up like a ventriloquist dummy. It was like Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was basically the nuptial version of Weekend at Bernie's 3 that very few people have seen.
Sorry, you had to put your hand there, Chad.
All in a day's work. So yeah, speaking of shaking off the rust, this one's going to be a little rough around the edges. It's been a while since we've done this in a standard form, but
in our natural setting, yeah. I have gotten married since the last episode, and I went on my honeymoon in lovely Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, and
played with some monkeys.
Yes, I will share that anecdote briefly. I am also in the middle of a move right now into our new townhouse, so apologies if I am terrible at this, because as Chad alluded to, there is quite a bit of rust, and I'm also fucking exhausted because moving 2.5 hours away is difficult. At least it's not a cross-country move, but all the same, why am I doing this episode this week? Because I have a sickness.
You do. I told you to take the week off. I tell you like every week to take the week off, and you insist.
I got to get to 200 episodes at least, Chad, or my heart will explode.
You know that after 200 is 201, and that's a whole nother set of milestones.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to at least get to, like, Donkey Kong Country Returns completion. I'm trying to complete the regular game and the time trials. So
this has been the Hyle's Neuroses update portion of the show.
Still sick in the head. Yes. No, but I had a lovely time in the Dominican Republic. I obviously there with my new wife Michelle, who's lovely. But I also got to play with monkeys, and that was just the honeymoon I always dreamed of since I was a little girl. There's a place in the Dominican Republic up in the mountains in the jungle called Monkey Land, and about 8 acres where they just let the monkeys run around. And it's a safe enclosure for them. But they have plenty of trees and vines to swing around in. And the fun thing is you get to go in and the monkeys interact with you, and they jump on you. They use you as platforms when jumping to and fro all the trees. And
Hyle, did the monkeys tell you to do bad things?
Well, yes, they did. But then again, everything tells me to do bad things. I mean, my morning coffee tells me to strangle the person next to me. So anyway, but you get to feed the monkeys, Chad, and I got to feed some monkeys.
What do you feed? What do you feed monkeys in a semi-petting zoo setting? Do they just eat whatever the humans give them, or do you get natural fruit?
They have a strict diet of monkey food. It's bananas, obviously. You got papayas,
ground up other monkeys,
tomatoes. You got sunflower seeds. So you're basically given a bowl of this monkey trail mix, and they'll hop on you. You get some very picky monkeys, though, because some of the monkeys don't like all the food that's provided. So I had a monkey who was like throwing out all the sunflower seeds and only eating like banana.
Did you get any nitpicky monkeys?
Nitpicky monkeys? Mm-hmm. Like, what do you mean?
Like literally picking nits off you?
I was groomed by a monkey. A monkey dropped a piece of fruit in my hair, and so I luckily, as far as to my knowledge, do not have any insects living in my fur. So this was the closest experience I ever had to being groomed by a monkey. But yeah, a monkey was picking fruit out of my hair that it dropped. So
you should have become infested before going, just for the authentic experience.
I know. I was trying to avoid Zika the whole time.
How does one, apart from dressing in a beekeeper costume the entire honeymoon, how does one try and avoid Zika?
We used eucalyptus bug repellent, and I'm happy to report not one mosquito bite the whole time on either one of us.
Wow.
Yeah. Michelle was bitten by some red ants in Monkeyland, but besides that...
Red ant. Are those like the fire ants you get in the South, or are they some kind of crazy Caribbean version of red bitey ants?
I really am not an expert on this subject, but it did leave giant red welts, so I imagine it's pretty similar to what they have in the South.
I told you that entomology degree was going to get you nowhere in life.
Yeah, you're right. But anyway, if you're in the Dominican Republic, I highly recommend Monkeyland, and they actually do take good care of the monkeys. The guy who led the tour actually was like the Dominican Mike Chapman. He looked just like Mike Chapman from off of Rare, except Dominican. And the whole time it was like, oh, this is like some sort of crazy bit where like Mike Chapman plays his like Caribbean twin, and talks to me about monkeys. I
did not expect the Dominican Mike Chapman to come out of your mouth next. Somehow my brain just hadn't put that together as a possibility.
So yeah, support Monkeyland. I've got a great rating on TripAdvisor too. So come for the monkeys, stay for Dominican Mike Chapman.
Yeah, excellent. Well, let's not deal with due diligence. We've already taken up too much of our listeners' time.
Okay. I did want to say once again thank you to everybody who dropped by for my bachelor party, either there in the chat, either all those wonderful heartfelt messages that Chad had gathered like a tribal hunter. And thank you for everybody who listened and everybody who missed it but has listened since then. I seriously, it meant so much, and it was the greatest bachelor party I've ever experienced, considering the only other one I've ever experienced was Chad's. So thank you.
Well, on behalf of everyone listening, you're welcome. It was their pleasure. All right, so Gamescom.
So, I was briefly aware of this. This happened a couple weeks ago in, it looks like it's spelled Cologne, Germany, but it's actually pronounced like Köln, Germany.
Oh, really? I thought it was Cologne.
That's the English and French pronunciation, but the German pronunciation is Köln. So, yeah. I make sure to get this stuff accurate because we actually do have German... We do have German readers on DK Vine, so there you go.
Yeah.
There you go, Germany.
It's not just Grunt von Weseton.
Everybody's favorite Brooklyn German, besides Donald Trump, I guess.
Long Islander German.
Oh, okay. Well, I never get that accent. It's somewhere in that area.
Mm-hmm. This was in Cologne, Germany. It was a big European game show.
Yeah, it's basically the European E3, essentially.
Right. Obviously there are two, major games that our site covers that were there. Rare was there showing off, essentially the Sea of Thieves build that was at E3.
Why'd you mention Rare first, Chad?
Because I'm a shill. And and Playtonic was there showing off Yooka-Laylee.
Yeah, and I would say that out of the two, not that it's a competition, people.
Everything's a competition, Hyle.
Oh, my God. I would say out of the two, this was probably a more substantial outing for Playtonic. I think Rare was mostly just bringing... was it the same build as the E3 build, or had they tweaked it since then?
They did do some live streams, which I'll get to in a moment, which were the major takeaway from Rare showing at Gamescom, apart from the fact that it was they won awards out the ass, which was essentially another repeat of their E3 experience. So that was very nice to see. But from what I could tell, watching the live stream tucked down in a tiny little corner while I was trying to work on other stuff throughout the day, it seemed like it was the same build. Again, that the fact that they streamed was notable in and of itself. Whereas, you're right, Yooka-Laylee had a build that featured mostly what was it? Tribal Stopics? What is it? Tribal stack tropics?
Rextrosaurus 64.
Rextrendotropics. I think it's tribal stack
Tribal stack
tropics.
tropics. Tribal stack tropics. Yeah.
It's look. That was honest confusion, and they are tongue twisters by design. So
yes.
I wasn't trying to snark it up.
There's a reason why our favorite thing to say from Playtonic is Andy Robinson. It's just the easiest thing to say.
It's simple. Rolls off the tongue, gets you drunk.
I really do worry. I was worrying over my honeymoon. Does Andy Robinson understand the Andy Robinson meme, or does he think we're like insulting him? I mean, does he understand this all? I mean,
the full history is documented on the forum, and of course goes to one of our favorite callers, Snorkel the Dolphin. We don't need to get into it here. Check the forum thread for that. But Andy actually did apparently listen to some of it once it was posted on iTunes, and on Twitter just said, "I have no idea what's going on." To which Mitchell Wolf immediately responded, "Andy Robinson."
I was off the forum for my honeymoon, and I came back and I saw a great deal of backlash towards the Andy Robinson meme. Apparently, it's played out.
Yeah, it played out so quickly, none of us even noticed. Like, I didn't even realize it was a meme until a week ago.
I drank a lot on our honeymoon because we were staying in a all-inclusive resort, so, you know, drinks anywhere you go, there's a swim-up bar. For Christ's sake, you can get in the pool
excellent.
And swim.
Did they have one of those things where where you can swim down and come up inside a bubble where you can't get to unless you go underwater?
No. Although there was plenty of bubbles in the beverages, and there was a lot of beer flowing in that pool, and
wonderful.
There was one angry woman who was very drunk who kept loudly screaming she was going to piss in the pool, and so we left the pool at that point.
Probably the safe move, yeah.
Anyway, so the whole honeymoon I was drinking and saying Andy Robinson, thinking it was just the height of hilarity. And then I come back and to my shame, I realize I was a week behind in my comedic stylings.
Yeah, you made a fool of yourself on your honeymoon in front of the urine lady.
I made a fool of myself in many ways on my honeymoon. Erectile dysfunction.
Oh my. Learn something new about you every day, just about.
I'm an open book.
Tribal Stack Tropics is the stage that was essentially, from what I can tell, it was shown in its final form. But there were also some new screenshots from the second world, which is sort of Disney's Frozen styled.
That is the world. That is the world's name. Disney's Frozen. Mm-hmm. They're not even trying.
Yeah, they even put a little trademark symbol in there.
Yeah. Tribal Stack Tropics is actually what a lot of the architecture from the toy box was kind of designed of, at least as far as like the ruins go, wherever they would actually utilize things that wasn't just the green kind of holodeck type of design that was mostly pulled from Tribal Stack Tropics.
Mm-hmm. So it was really cool to get a look at a lot more of that. But we actually do have 5 callers for this episode, so. There's a lot that we could talk about, but why don't we let them sort of drive the conversation?
I'm happy for a break. Let's take it.
Hey, this is Red Crested Breagle. This call isn't really about gamescom, but it is about your Yooka-Laylee toy box impressions in episode 431.
Oh.
Chad said if he found a purple bat with a big red nose nailed dead to a wall in a tavern in Sea of Thieves, he wouldn't be cool with it. However, in the Cock and Plucker in Conker's Bad Fur Day, there's a bear that looks suspiciously like Banjo, essentially nailed dead to a wall. Personally, if I saw a dead purple bat nailed to a tavern wall in Sea of Thieves, I'd probably burst out laughing. Can't the whole inept thing be seen as Playtonic maybe just joking around, or maybe even some type of friendly rivalry like in the old barn days at Rare? I think that if Inept is fine as his own standalone character, or even drone character, then that's just as fine as Banjo's head in the Cock and Plucker serving as a typical taxidermy bear head, even if someone doesn't get the joke 20 years later. So what do you guys think about this comparison? Let me know if you think I have a point or if you think I'm full of shit. See you later.
No, Red Crested Breagle, the only way in which you're full of shit is presenting this as a Gamescom call and then immediately turning it into the drama.
To be fair, he did say this is not about Gamescom.
I know. But so what I do, I think that now that my technique is out, it's biting me in the ass. I scan the Google translation of the calls. So in this case, I was scanning for something that Google translated reasonably close to Gamescom, and then I pulled it in. But no, Red Crested Beagle. I totally get where you're coming from. I clarified this in the forum.
We're getting right into it this episode, too. Like, we cannot escape this drama.
Yeah. So those remarks that I made about not being cool with that scenario would have been in a case in which Rare were the only ones making those sorts of adding those sorts of elements to their game. Whereas in this case, what I was talking about is a world in which Playtonic is the only one having those sorts of elements in their game. If it's one-sided, that's the part where I have a problem with. However, all that being said, and with the Conquer comparison, that was sort of a mutual back and forth. Banjo had the old design of Barry in their game. There was some mutual ribbing,
also,
and it was
the Grim Reaper.
The
the Grim Reaper was named Greg, so that was it's friendly
and
little.
And they were all under the Rare roof, which does make a difference. However. I want to kind of get away from this because one of the things that I thought was pretty remarkable and refreshing about Yooka-Laylee's showing at Gamescom was that between the new trailer and the 6 minutes of footage that IGN got their hands on, it was completely devoid of the unnecessary snarky tone that I had sort of been railing against. So I don't know if that signals a turning of the corner for the output that they're doing, or if it's just coincidental, but it was really happy to just be able to enjoy what Playtonic had to show without being reminded of all of that. I really enjoyed it, so I don't want to really belabor that point too much at the moment.
I'm somebody who probably didn't have as much of a problem with an inept as presented in the toy box as you did, but I also grow tired of the snarky attitude as well. Just because, and it's not even really that I care so much that Playtonic sometimes does this because, it's well within their right to do it, but it just fans the fan debate culture, and I'm tired of that. I think as Rare fans, past, present, whatever, we all need to get past this and just... It creates this unnecessary narrative that all the good ones at Rare are gone, and that's not fair to the very talented people who are still there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I was happy to see that it was just Yooka-Laylee standing on its own merits without kind of playing to that crowd, whether directly or indirectly.
Yeah, the only thing even close was that we got a little glimpse of Inept as a security drone, which we already knew that was his role in the game from the toy box. Which is
one of the inept style drones. I don't know if they're all called inepts or not, or if inept was just a singular version of that security bot in the toy box.
Oh my god. Can you imagine the impact to our characters database if every single one of those things is going to be a unique character?
All they have to do is just name them all Andy Robinson, and not only would our forum eat it up, it'll make our job a whole lot easier.
Yeah, although we would have to have some kind of back-end disambiguation, or else it'll run chaos on the SQL queries.
Andy Robinson. It's the only way the joke works. They would make the Hall of Fame very interesting, though.
Yeah. Well, there's already a poll on the DK Vine forum where you get to pick your favorite of about 100 different Andy Robinsons, and I think to date nobody has picked the same one yet.
I know I voted for my favorite. There's actually, in the Yooka-Laylee Facebook group, somebody had sent me a private message on the DK Vine account on Facebook that they started an Andy Robinson poll in there with about 30 different Andy Robinsons, and
oh really?
So I'm happy to see it spreading outside of DK Vine.
I won't say I'm happy to see it spreading outside DK Vine, because it's the thing that bothers me or that annoys me about most memes is the utter lack of context. I feel like this one is at least it's DK Vine core enough that if you are on the forum or listen to the podcast or even were on my Twitch streams, you will have seen Snorkel the Dolphin keep screaming Andy Robinson over and over. But if you're just coming to it way after the fact, you're going to be out of the loop, and to me that kind of destroys the comedy of it.
My biggest problem with memes is when we don't have a hand in creating them, so I'm fine with this.
All right.
So anyway, yeah. This I even said to you before other related drama started up on DK Vine. I think later that day, how awesome all the Yooka-Laylee reveals were. I was enamored with everything. It was just like they've released new screenshots. I think before the trailer hit. And like IGN released something later on, but the screenshots were just gorgeous. And it looks. What kind of disappoints me? I don't want to say disappoint. That's a strong term. But what I sort of wish that the toy box had a little bit more time to sink in between its release and these Gamescom reveals, because it's such a wide berth. But now, the toy box was released, less than a month ago? About a month ago or so? I don't even remember. Yeah, it was
pretty recent, about a month. And then we see an entire level built out completely. It would have been really cool if the toy box was dripping these hints as far back as like May. But I understand if they weren't able to get, the resourcing around something that's really just a bonus demo. It's understandable, but it would have been cool to have a little bit longer to sit on the memories of the toy box without them immediately getting blown out of the water. Yeah, but it really is. It feels like it's night and day compared to what the E3 trailer was. It's looking now. I mean, it's so gorgeous, and it really does. I think I said this earlier when we saw other Yooka footage, and it just shows how far it came. But even back then, I was saying it just kind of drives home how long ago Banjo-Kazooie was, because in your mind's eye, you think, oh, that game was absolutely gorgeous. But you realize it was a polygonal game on the N64, and then you look at what they're doing with Yooka-Laylee, and it's like, holy shit. Yeah,
has 20 years almost gone by? I mean,
it's starting to look like the old, fully realized renders of Banjo and Kazooie, and it's we've spoken about this previously, but where Tropical Freeze was sort of like playing one of those renders for the first time, and now we're getting Yooka-Laylee, which is
although I would argue, and no offense to the very talented team at Retro, but I would argue. No. I'm just saying, Tropical Freeze, it still had that kind of, I don't know, rare and rare alum always go that, just find a way to push the hardware they're using to the absolute limits. And in this case, it's the, Unity engine. So, or is this Unreal? I forget. Unity.
It's Unity,
right? Yeah. So, why do they both start with U's? That's what I have an issue with. Anyway,
what's the deal with the 9/11 spec script?
But Tropical, I need to check that out. I heard
it's so good. Oh my god, it's so good.
Okay, I might do that once we're done here.
But it's like ridiculously, unironically amazing. We're talking about the Seinfeld 9/11 spec script for the listeners.
Yeah, right. So. Tropical Freeze is a gorgeous game, but it is also doesn't go that extra mile that I think,
I disagree completely. I think Tropical Freeze... Yeah, I think Tropical Freeze is certainly on par with the visual stylings of what Rare was doing in the 90s. I think it more than exceeds that.
I'm saying, though, from a modern context, like Yooka-Laylee, it just pushes so far past it.
Disagree. I also disagree. I think they're both phenomenal examples of their genre done to the utmost level of quality. Tropical. I honestly, I can't poke a hole in Tropical Freeze. It's so good.
I'm not trying to start a retro versus Playtonic debate here, because God knows we don't need a third
a competition. Yeah,
I'm just saying, from my opinion, from my own personal taste, and I think Yooka-Laylee is just absolutely gorgeous, and it just shows the talent at Playtonic, who obviously, I mean, this is very vintage in Rare. I mean, just they don't rest on the laurels and expectations of games like this. They're like, no, we're going to make it look this gorgeous, and we will do it with just a few weird tricks. So
right, and it's one of the things that was really astounding in the Yooka trailer, the 6-minute video segment was toward the end. The player was climbing higher and higher up the central mountain of Tribal Stack Tropics, and you could start to see more and more and more of the vista. And I'm assuming that that's going to run pretty smoothly on most consoles, depending on your PC or Mac specs or Linux specs. I can see that as a serious frame rate killer, but it was absolutely gorgeous. That's going to be a unique challenge for this team, making sure that their output works on multiple hardware.
Yeah, and I think most people in this team probably aren't used to that challenge. You know, they're pretty much the entire career Rare. They've developed for one system. Well, I get one game per system. You know, so it's developed multi-platforming games. It's nothing they've really tackled before, especially on every console, every PC. You know, good lord.
Yeah,
I kind of want to try it on each platform.
Is this going to be the new slush fund requirement?
I could see it. I've been thinking it. I was like, yeah, I'll have to try it on that. I'll have to try it on that. God help me.
Can I just stop you right now before you go too far down this line of thinking? That's a bad idea.
I know.
You're going to grow to resent the game if you have to play it like 8 times on different hardware that you have to purchase specifically to play it.
I'm a man of bad ideas. I fully admit that, but I am who I am, Chad.
All right, fair enough.
Why don't we take another call?
Let's do just that.
Hello, Kongversation hosts Hyle and Had. This is yours truly, Jewish Hoser. Before I start this call, really quickly, Hyle, I want to congratulate you once again on your marriage, on your wedding.
I'm great.
I hope it was a very
married.
special day for you, and I hope that your honeymoon was very special as well. I know that you only get a few special moments in life, and I hope that was a good one for you. I remember mine. I turned 13. It was my bar mitzvah. And my father turned to me and he said, Jewish Hoser, you're a man now. But then I proved how much I wasn't a man. After that, he took me to a hockey game, and I got hit in the face with a puck, and I cried until my tear ducts could no longer produce tears. But anyways, that all aside, I want to talk about a sin. And this isn't about Rare. This is strictly Playtonic. I want to talk about their swimming. And I know that this is kind of a late topic, but it isn't something that I've vocally expressed. I've talked about it on their forum. I've briefly mentioned it with you guys. And I know that you guys don't agree with me on this, or at least from what I've seen, but their swimming is not okay. Now let me ask you a question. With their new swimming, you stay on a single plane at a time. All you do is control the direction you go, and then you press a button to go up and you press a button to go down. Now a lot of people will say, hey, Jewish Hoser, that's a stupid name, and they hurt my feelings. And then they go on to tell me, hey, this is how you do it. Maybe you just don't realize the controls. And to that I say, no, I do understand the controls. A baby could understand the controls, because the controls are boring. I don't know, it's frustrating to me because I feel like it takes away a lot of the challenge of the game, and I will always use this as an example. Imagine if Clinker's Cavern had those controls. It would not be the scary, challenging level that it was, because you simply stay on that same plane, swim through the keyhole, stay on the same plane as Gloop, stay on the same plane as the Node. It isn't a big deal. And so I know that, yeah, you can design a game around that, but it just doesn't feel complex to me. And it's not about overcomplicating things to be fun. It's more a matter of it doesn't feel like there's any challenge to it. So that was my frustration. But aside from that, I watched the trailer for Yooka-Laylee. Probably have watched it over 50 times. And I favorited it on my phone like I think 20 times on YouTube, so I could just play it and it would keep playing over and over again. But I definitely like it. I think it's going to be a classic. Looking at it, sometimes I worry if it's going to live up to the hype that I feel like is building around it. And it's not to say that it's bad, but I feel like
cut off, but then he called right back.
More Jewish hoser.
Hello, DK Vine hosts I meant Kongversation hosts Shyle and Had. My bad. I was cut off. Don't know if you'll play both of these. Don't have to, but I was kind of cut off in a weird spot. The only reason I was called back. But pretty much, I'm kind of scared that this game is getting overhyped, and I'm not trying to overhype it. I've tried my best to stay calm and just be like, okay, this is what there is. But I've been getting so excited that I feel like when the game comes out, I'm going to not be disappointed. I just hope that they can deliver on all the excitement that the trailers bring. And holy cow, getting to see Capital B actually in motion, it was really cool. I think that he's going to be a very likable villain. Wanted to know what you guys thought about Capital B. I mean, this is really the first that we've gotten to see from him, or that they've brought him up. It's kind of been quiet about him for a while. I know that Dr. Quack was there too, but I don't give a crap about Dr. Quack. I'm sorry, Mamechi. I know that he's your favorite character, but I can't find the will in my heart to love him. Anyways, that was pretty much it. And then also just updating you guys, the peripherals are going good. Playtonic reached out to me like I thought they would. They flew me over there, and we went through some in-depth meetings about what peripherals are going to be added. So that's where that is, and I will let you know any information as it becomes available to me. Anyways, this was Jewish Hoser, and I can't think of a good thing to say to leave. So instead, I'll just leave on this awkward phone call. Bye.
No, he should have just gone another full 3 minutes and let the call limit force him to leave.
Honestly, I think we should just cede the whole show to Jewish Hoser at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing a better job at this than we are.
Clearly. I do not share Jewish Hoser's disdain for the swimming controls.
I don't either. Sorry, Jewish Hoser. Is it anti-Semitic if we disagree with him?
No, I don't. I think it's perfectly Semitic. No, I think. Well, obviously they're not original controls. They're sort of a version of what was in Super Mario Sunshine. So they've sort of been an alternate tactic for 3D platformers for a while. And I think he sort of answered his own criticism in saying that, yeah, you might not, the challenges like going through the keyhole by Gloop wouldn't be as difficult, but you design a game around the mechanics, not the other way around. And one of my major criticisms of any game is that I feel the most frustrated and start to dislike the game more and more when I feel like I'm being punished for reasons that are outside my control, and difficult controls that could potentially be better is part of that. And so if there is a way to improve upon the swimming controls, even if it makes the swimming sections easier, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you make the game more accessible and then construct challenges within that context? To
me, it's like complaining that games are much easier than they used to be back in the NES days. But that's mostly because games controlled terribly. A lot of games controlled terribly back then. There's progress. We've refined what video games are and how they control, and there's a lot more nuance to it. So I fully welcome that it doesn't play exactly like Banjo-Kazooie. Granted, that tripped me up a few times in a toy box because it did feel very familiar up to a certain point, but my brain will get used to that. I was like, no, I'm playing Yooka-Laylee. I'm not playing Banjo-Kazooie. So
you even got used to waggling to roll in Returns very quickly.
I did. I still prefer the Returns 3D version because the lack of waggle, but besides that, I'm fine with the waggle.
My point being that you can retrain your brain even if something seems very familiar. And I'm looking for more things that Playtonic looks at from the old Banjo model and decides that they don't necessarily need to be so similar, that they have an opportunity to improve. I totally applaud identifying as swimming as one of those things.
Right. As far as capital B goes, a thought just occurred to me, Chad, and I don't know why I'm doing this, why I'm deliberately poking the fires, trying to stoke the flames up, but capital B, is that a subtle reference to Bill Gates?
I don't honestly. I don't know. I think it's more that it's the easiest letter to make a pun animal out of.
I know, but
that's reading into it all. Like, well, hell, I don't know. It's really too tough to tell, but I don't think it's worth more than a passing ponderance.
Because Bill Gates' malaria nets would keep bees out, so it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, but bees aren't trying to pollinate you. Why would that even be a?
I'm just saying, like, you know, they'll keep mosquitoes out, but they probably also keep bees out.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Jewish hoser. You can tell I really don't want to deal with this topic right now.
I don't know why I'm trying to provoke you. I'm not trying to provoke you. I just had the thought and I wanted to share it because I was like, oh, I hadn't made that possible connection before, so I'm just putting it out there. I don't know if it's true, and I like Capital B's design. He reminds me a little bit of a businessman K. Rool. Had K. Rool ever became a businessman, you know that.
He looks like Gru from Despicable Me.
Well, he does look like that, but I'm just saying, like the big enlarged eyes, you know, or I forget how many of, but he's got the big bug eyes, and he's a big fatto, and like K. Rool.
I know. I really like his design. I sort of wish that he would have been B-sized. That could have been really hilarious, but
why?
Okay.
Why is he a big? I don't know. Whatever.
Maybe they'll explain that. Maybe that's one of Dr. Puzz's experiments gone wrong.
And if not, we can always fan wank it.
Yeah. So it was canonically one of Dr. Puzz's experiments gone wrong.
At least canonically, yeah.
It's your job to deny that.
Anyway, thanks
it's
for the
true
call.
Until proven false.
The DK Vine way.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, Jewish hoser. So yeah, I wanted to discuss some of the screenshot and render reveals we got just before Gamescom, released by Playtonic. The first was a render that I wanted to bring up because it's probably one of the most obscure references I've seen either Rare or Playtonic do. It's a reference to an old Rare render that I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but it has to be considering the posing. You've seen this, right?
Oh, you're talking about the treasure chest?
The treasure chest, yeah.
Yes, I did see that, and I think we're the ones that actually popularized that render because I found it in that old that Rare recruitment brochure when you, Alistair, and Aussie Ben were here. Yeah,
we all flipped shit when we saw that because it was, and we've probably talked about this on the show, but you can find this at DK Vine in our gallery under Donkey Kong Country 2. And it's essentially a render that promoted the partnership between Rare and Nintendo back in 1995. And it had Diddy Kong and Mario opening a treasure chest together.
Right.
And
done by Rare. So it was Rare's version of Mario that they used at the end of DKC2.
Right. So, and this was the pre-Super Mario 64 Mario, back before he was really standardized or beginning to become standardized into what he looks like today. So, because back then you had different artists work on Mario, different sprites, different designs. Yeah, Mario was usually portrayed as a very short, pudgy kind of guy before he became more trim and athletic.
Yeah, he was always a little off model. I don't think Mario was ever on model until the 64 era.
Well, and honestly, even the 64 era, it would come and go. It really wasn't until the GameCube era that it kind of solidified. But Super Mario 64 is what it was based off of.
Right.
And so, yeah, this looks hilarious because it looks really wrong to see a Rare rendered Mario before Mario's design was standardized. But yeah, we loved it. I mean, it was, oh my god, this is a render of that Mario design from the end of DKC2. Anyway, so yeah, it was.
By the way, before we move on from that, Cameron Regal, one of our DK Vine staffers from off of the Tumblr, has pointed out in our $5 and up live Patreon Twitch stream chat that a South American games magazine took that render from our gallery a few months ago, and we knew it was that one because when I posted it online after scanning it, I had to do a little bit of cleanup with the sparkly bits. So it was very clear to me that if those sparkly bits were on there, that's the one from our site.
Not only that, they gave Playtonic a copy of that magazine at E3. I believe they gave it to Steve Mails. So
did they?
So I think, therefore, we inadvertently influenced this Yooka-Laylee render.
But it was really nice to see. I liked it. It was one of those, like, it's a reference, but it's a really subtle reference, and it's
Yooka and Laylee opening a treasure chest, but they're basically in the same pose as Diddy and Mario.
Right, and I think I'm really a sucker for any character render that has fantastic lighting, and that's a perfect opportunity for that because you've got the treasure chest just emanating this golden beam. So it looked really cool. I think it's fun. It's a good one.
Would have been nice to see like a golden Playtonic logo in there, maybe, or all the logos of all the systems for, just to continue that same. Yeah, but whatever. I like it, and it was, like I said, it's a very, very subtle reference only the diehards will get, and that the forum had I guess there's only like 2 posts about it, but it was a freak out all the same. There were also a new render of the Ghost Riders, similar to the, I guess, concept art they released last year. And they haven't changed in design at all. And
but we do know a bit more about them.
Yes.
We know some of the mechanics that are required to actually catch them. The one whose mouth is really wide open, I think the orange one, you actually have to shoot ice balls into his mouth, which you get from one of those crystalline plants that Yooka can eat, and then
the purple one. The purple one is he's the one with the mouth really wide open.
Oh, then I guess it's that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess based on their design, it sort of suggests what you need to do to capture them.
Yeah, the red one with devil horns, I'm guessing he's the one who attacks you and can hurt you.
That makes sense.
A hunch. Yeah. But I do like the designs of the Ghost Riders because they remind me of real Ghostbusters toys. Maybe I brought this point up before, but I had I was big into the real Ghostbusters when I was a kid, even before I was a fan of the 1984 original, and because I hate women. And one of the toys I had was the real life ghost trap that you could throw down and open up with your foot, and it came with little plastic ghosts you could put inside, and they very much look like the Ghost Riders. So it warms the cockles of my nostalgia loving heart.
Wonderful. There's also a screenshot that had a duo of new characters.
Oh yeah.
One of which is a bird with some very familiarly colored plumage, and although kind of shaped like an angry bird, on top of a googly-eyed cannon whose name is Blasto.
His name is that confirmed? That it's Blasto.
Well, the file name of the image on Playtonic's website is blasto.png, so I'm assuming.
So, what, Blasto Kabloomy? Is that what we're guessing? Or
who knows? Yeah, I mean, it's the coloring on this bird's a little overt, but yeah, I guess remains to be seen what their function in the game is. So.
Look, unless contradicted in game, I'm just gonna say this could be a red-crested breacle. There's nothing that would dispel that notion.
Okay, so I guess that perhaps the batship crazy sailed from Breagle Beach at some point.
I don't know, but yeah, this screenshot is. I guess this is the cannon from the batship crazy, because it's right. They're located right next to where it has you run aground up in the mountains, and Yooka and Laylee are talking to this cannon and bird duo that is in no way a deliberate homage to Banjo-Kazooie. And this is the screenshot that made me go, wow, this game looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's the lighting, I think. Like, to me, that's the fundamental difference between what we saw a year ago and what we're seeing now. The lighting has come so far.
Well, naturally, because that's going to be one of the last things they add. They're not going to work on the lighting early on in the process, but Yeah, I mean, Rare and now Playtonic has always really done amazing lighting effects. You know, even all the problems we have with Donkey Kong 64, one thing you cannot say about the game is it has terrible lighting. It had some wild lighting effects. Sometimes it went a little overboard, but
I think that I think that they didn't know how to use what they had with the lighting in DK64 because there's no reason that tunnel outside the treehouse needs to be purple and green.
Often there would be like lanterns in the many tunnels in the game, and they would be swinging wildly just to give some excuse as to why the lighting is just moving all around.
Right. I feel like technically it's DK64's lighting is impressive, but it's a poor use of the technology.
It gives the game a moodier heft that it otherwise would merit.
What's moody about inexplicably green tunnels?
No, it gives the game a darker color palette than otherwise it would have had.
I think it makes it cartoonier. I think that it really underscores the fundamental differences between DK64 styles and the original trilogy.
Again, I know we've talked about this, but it reminds me of those weird cutaways in Ren and Stimpy where everything would be super realistic with weird lighting. Yeah. And that's what it reminds me of.
No.
Anyway.
Okay.
This is far better lighting than Donkey Kong 64. Either way.
Yes. Well done, Playtonic. You've surpassed 1999.
You've jumped over that low bar. Congratulations. Yeah. No. I love this, and I love that this might be a prequel on a canon that will hopefully talk in redneck dialogue, or at least a voice. It would be great if Blasto didn't talk at all, and every time he attempted to communicate with you, he just shot you in the face.
Remains to be seen. I've now also been keeping an eye out for a lone tree with some rocks because that's going to be my first stop when I finally get my hands on the game. Was that a spoiler? Ooh. Okay. It might be. It's a toy box spoiler. All right. Next call.
Okay.
Hey there, Chad and Hyle. It's Malik once again, and I'm here to give my 2 cents on the whole gamescom coverage of Yooka-Laylee and Sea of Thieves. Now, I won't get too in-depth right now because I might talk about it more in-depth somewhere on the internet at a later time, but everything is just shaping up to looking really good. Like Yooka-Laylee, of course, it's a given, but I'm even more sold than I was when I initially saw the first trailer over a year ago. Like that Gamescom, the trailer that they used, the music in that, it's just godlike. If that is indicative of what we're going to hear later on down the road, I know it was going to be good, but oh man, that was really, really good. And Sea of Thieves, I know that this is going to be a really good game too, but I'm so happy to see that a lot of other people are really warming up to it as well. Like you see so many comments on so many trailers and gameplay coverage, and everyone is like, oh, I'm so excited to play Sea of Thieves. This is looking great. It's like I was initially upset that it wasn't Banjo 3 or something, but this is looking really, really good. Like, everybody is just so happy. Like 95% of the comments I've seen are just so positive, and it's just so nice to see. And I just hope that positivity continues up to release, after release, and yeah, that's basically my 2 cents on it. Everybody's happy. I'm happy that everybody's happy, and I can't wait to see more. All right, guys, that's all I wanted to say. See ya.
Malik, I'm happy that you're happy.
I'm always happy that Malik's happy, but when is Malik not happy?
I would hate to see Malik in a depressed state. I feel like all of the positivity and goodwill would have to be offset by some dark shit.
I would imagine it's like at the end of Lost when they take the cork out of the island and everything goes dark.
The walls crumble and Malik's just there in the middle of the room.
Malik, the cartoon gamer. Check him out on the YouTubes.
Yeah. And this is a great opportunity to, let's talk a little bit about Rare and Sea of Thieves. Because, while it seemed like it was the same build, one of the really mind-blowing things that they did at Gamescom was actually they took that booth-based recording setup that we were actually subjected to while we were at Rare, where they sort of have this command center, this NASA control center of monitors with different people playing the game and their faces, their reactions. And they took a live switchboard to Gamescom and put Gamescom attendees who were queued up to play the game live on Twitch. So I think this is the first time it's been done for an unreleased game. They actually live streamed people getting their hands on Sea of Thieves, which was technically mind-blowing and really a lot of fun to watch.
By the way, when you started to say booth-based setup, I thought you were going to say booth babe setup, and I was like, "What? Wait, did Rare like bring in some like really anorexic models to pose as skellies?"
Yeah, like what? This is. I think we're a little bit past 2006 by this point. It was nice to see.
You've been to E3 twice now. Booth babes are still a thing.
I think they are a gradually diminishing presence at E3.
I would hope so, given the amount of women gamers. You know, it's at least throw in some beefcake, throw in some sausage there. E3, come on.
Booth beefcakes. Yeah.
Let's just make it. Parody.
Hashtag equal time.
Yeah. That's really cool because it was such a fun experience when we were at Rare playing it in that setup, and it was a different vibe at E3. But the way people are actually going to be playing Sea of Thieves around the world is going to be more similar to the way we played it at E3. So it's nice to see them replicate that at Gamescom.
Yeah, and they've been absolutely on fire with their social media stuff. It's like every single day, just about, there's a new video on Sea of Thieves, or I know that they've recorded episode 2 of the the Tales from the Tavern podcast.
I haven't checked that one out yet.
I don't believe it is out. I saw on Twitter that they had recorded it, but I haven't seen it drop yet.
My connection to the internet has been spotty this week during the move, so I feel so far behind as far as all of the avenues I normally check out, like, all my entertainment fixes online. I'm so far behind. It's going to require weeks of binging to catch up.
I was not being attacked by monkeys last week, and I feel behind. There was just so much of it.
Yeah.
But by the way, it was all great.
Being attacked by monkeys is also great, and I would highly recommend it.
Thank you for the call as ever, Malik.
Yeah, and he brought up a good point, how the perception of the game has changed online in the last year. And since E3 especially, the ball's really been rolling in that direction. But you see it as far as like the people following it on Facebook. They've got around 16,000 followers on the Sea of Thieves page alone. Which, is respectable for Facebook, but considering it was, only 1,000 or so before E3, I think, it's just, there's a lot of more interest, and it's only building, especially as they rack up all these industry show awards, and the big wig sites like IGN continue to rave about it. So
the first, I think it's crystallized to me now that the tide is turning on the general online opinions about Rare. And what sort of crystallized with me was that I was watching one of those, clickbaity stock videos about the history of Rare or the history of Banjo-Kazooie, and inevitably they get to a point where they make some allusion to what happened to Rare. And this one did exactly that. But then, out of nowhere, for a brief little respite of 5 seconds, they showed a clip from Sea of Thieves, and the person said, "But there's hope for them yet." I would fundamentally disagree with the premise that they were hopeless before Sea of Thieves, because obviously we have fantastic titles throughout their Microsoft output. But the fact that was acknowledged and put Rare in a positive light on one of those typically universally negative videos was shocking to me. It's like, oh my god, it's not all just shitty people being shitty.
I like how it sounds like they made a VH1 behind the music on Rare, but then it all came crashing down.
I know, that's kind of the tone that all of these things take, because
but then at the end,
you don't get views unless you're sensationalist.
But then at the end, they go to rehab, and they make the comeback, and everything's happy. The internet's never really going to be positive about, like, say, the Kinect Sports era, but I do think as the perception of what Rare is today gets more favorable, people are going to go back and even like look at something like Nuts and Bolts and say, oh, this is actually a fun game. I mean, we did that. I mean, Christ, we were so... I mean, it was kind of a joke on DK Vine that we were critical of Nuts and Bolts, but we wouldn't even give it a fair chance, and now we've given it a fair chance, and oh, hey, it's a fun game. It's the Jungle Beat. It's the Jungle Beat effect, where I, hated Jungle Beat, and then I actually got a new Donkey Kong Country game, so I went back and tried Jungle Beat, and oh, that's actually fun, and I can admit it's fun now. So
I think Nuts and Bolts was also a victim of the fact that because we were following it so very closely, we were very tuned into the way that its genre and stylings were kind of misrepresented before it was released. So
yeah, I mean,
it was not in the best light when it came out, as far as we were concerned.
It's like what Jewish Hoser was saying. He's worried about like expectations for Yooka are so high that they're not going to be met. The only difference is we know what we're getting with Yooka, where Nuts and Bolts really did feel like a bait and switch as far as the marketing goes. So
right,
yeah. But that's all in the past. I mean,
yeah, you look at it with fresh eyes, and it's actually a pretty phenomenal game.
Right. So, yeah, there you go. Thanks for the call, Malik. And do we have any more calls?
We have two more.
Two more. Okay, let's take them.
Hello, John. Hi. Hello, John. Hi, Steve. Banjo Kazooie 2000. I'm here talking quickly in brief shortness about the Yooka-Laylee and or Sea of Thieves at Gamescom. I didn't really know that Sea of Thieves is going to be at Gamescom because I haven't been paying attention to my Twitter feed lately. But I did know that Yooka-Laylee was at Gamescom because of the trailer Playtonic posted, and I wanted to give my quick thoughts on that. There are multiple inepts, so inept is technically a drone. We see, I think, one or two in the trailer that are both in Ivory Towers. I also wanted to comment on the music that my Grant Kirk up excellently. And, like, you can't even guess who it's for. Maybe it's for Capital B, or maybe it's for, like, some other character, or... I'm not sure yet, but all the gorgeous views and things like that makes me crave Yooka-Laylee even more. This is my quick, thoughts on the Yooka-Laylee trailer. And, I guess pants are collectible too, so that's interesting. But, I don't really have much else to comment on because I'm out in the rain, again, for my second call. So, don't know how many calls it is before I begin to count, but it's Banjo Kazooie 2000, up, over, under, and out.
Well, thank you for the call, Banjo, Kazooie, Tooie, and Granny's Revenge, Banjo Pilot, and
Mobile Edition,
Yooka-Laylee. Thanks for the call.
What, it's going to be every Royston title now?
We'll just get them all in there. Kinect Sports Season 2. Chad, any thoughts on his comments on any of the stuff seen in Ivory Towers, for example?
No, not particularly.
Yeah, I am curious to see more of the overworld. Obviously, Ivory Towers is the Grunny's lair stand-in where the Shipwreck Creek, or whatever it's called, where the Batship Crazy is the Spiral Mountain.
Mm-hmm. I did see, I freeze-framed in the background of Ivory Towers, there were a couple of gigantic books that were titled Slide from the Top, or something like that. So, yeah, I assume that there's a slide from the top of the tower involved somehow in those books. There were like three of them sort of stacked up and down, and I had to freeze frame it because I noticed text and I wanted to read it. But, yeah, nothing particularly notable. Unless the slide from the top is Rare's slide from the top of their game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I see, that's the thing. It's like,
settle
I feel
down
like
there.
anytime I bring up anything related to this, people are going to now say, oh, what are you suggesting? Like, no.
No, what I'm curious about, though, is obviously all the worlds, the actual game worlds, not the overworld, are within books. So are they going to, like, put jokey world titles on, like, the spines of books you can't access?
Yeah, there's a lot of potential for that, and obviously we've seen from some of the character interactions that Yooka-Laylee is going to really, really lean on its sense of humor. So that would be a great opportunity to just completely layer it in with joke upon joke upon joke.
And also be the traditional banjo-esque dickishness of teasing the player with things that they'll never get or they can't access.
Right, yeah, that'll be in Yooka-Fori.
Yeah. Because obviously, we know stop and swap like gags are coming. I mean, it's coming. You know, you can hear it coming, just like Reggie.
Yeah, if they've already confirmed, it's following the banjo formula this closely, and they've already confirmed that they're going to do a sequel in this world. Of course, there's going to be some kind of stop and swappy sort of deal, which with modern systems like Xbox Live accounts, PlayStation accounts, Steam accounts, that could be perfectly feasible in these days without having to destroy your hardware to make it happen.
I really did want to destroy my N64 though. I'm still bitter about it all these years later, Chad.
Are you bitter? I've sort of, to me, it's more of a historical curiosity than anything that I'm emotionally invested in.
Just the summer of '98, man, beak bombing everything in sight. It's like, I don't know. I still, my mind still likes to play the games, and I know what Stop and Stop would have been. I mean, it's essentially what we got in 2E. It wouldn't have been much, but it's still like what. Again, the expectation game, what my brain imagined it would have been was far greater than what it actually could have been. But
yeah, I think what my imagination gamey brain really wanted from Stop and Swap, which I don't know if it was even in the cards, would have been turning it into two giant games, into one giant game rather. You know, so you can go back in Grunty's layer and go back to those original Banjo-Kazooie stages.
Right. The only way to feasibly do that would be a lock-on cartridge, you know.
Or you stop and swap when you enter Grunty's lair.
Yeah, true. What I just really wanted was new content in Banjo-Kazooie itself. I wanted the lava world in Banjo-Kazooie. There was a lava room in Grunty's lair that had to have been the entrance, said myself in 1998.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Although, you know what? You are right, though, that if you wanted to actually retain the moves from Banjo-Tooie, you almost certainly would have had to have snapped it on Sonic style.
Or at least utilize the 64DD, which, obviously never came out in the West. But
yeah, there was actually someone very recently found.
I saw that.
You saw that? The North American 64DD?
The like one copy, the one in existence.
Right.
And it wasn't a developer version either because it didn't lack the blue, the blue flappy thing you put the disc in. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah,
It's awesome how that stuff just sort of gets uncovered out of the ether. You know, you can never predict when that sort of thing is going to drop, and when it does, oohs and ahs.
The 64DD, we'll have to do an episode about that someday because that was also one of the great things from the N64 era that my brain I really wanted the 64DD because it was hyped to me so effectively by Nintendo Power as just this game-changing thing, despite the fact that it was essentially just an add-on like Sega had always come out with and to not much great success. But, I mean,
we'll do a Kongversation mini Oops All Doshin.
Well, we do have the N64's 20th anniversary coming up in just a couple of weeks, so I have a feeling, and Donkey Kong Land too.
Too many. There's too many anniversaries.
Too many, yeah, but that's the game we play. Before we take the final call, I do want to address the new transformation that we saw in all of this gamescom Yooka-Laylee madness, and that's the snowplow.
Yooka-Plow, that's the name. That name again is Yooka-Plow.
I knew it. I knew you were going to do a Simpsons reference.
I think I've done several Simpsons references in this episode.
You have, but I knew you were going to do the Mr. Plow reference.
Why wouldn't I? No, this was a cool one to see. It reminded me certainly more of Banjo-Tooie's transformations, which have been pointed out to me as I've been playing on Involuntary Twitching, that Humba's transformations are almost all mechanical in nature. Actually, no, I take it back. It was that video I referenced earlier where they made a positive comment about Rare's current output. It was the differences between Kazooie and Tooie, and that person pointed out that Humba usually has the more mechanical transformations. But yeah, this one was right in line with that.
Yeah, and as we saw in the transformation in Triple Stack Tropics, Laylee is part of the transformation too. It's not like a Kazooie thing where she just hides in Banjo's backpack while he becomes this animal or a piece of machinery. Here, Laylee is the front of the plow, not the actual like shovel part, but she's just like on the grill essentially. And so again, my mind wonders how that works as far as their consciousness goes. Are they like they're sharing a body? Are they like within the same? I don't know. Do they share the same brain at that point, or how is this like a Siamese conjoined twin thing?
I think the latter.
Okay, I really want these answers, Playtonic.
Andy Robinson.
Andy
Answer
Robinson.
These things.
Do we want to talk about the baddies in Disney's Frozen World 2?
The ones that look like the blue minions, only they're sort of white and Yeti-ish.
Yeah, they're kind of Yeti-ish, but they look like Skylander characters to me, honestly.
I can see that. Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I see Skylanders when I sleep because they burned into my retinas. So even when I shut my eyes, I see the Skylanders.
Do you speaking genuinely? Do you really have Skylanders dreams?
No, I was saying that disparagingly because I have to buy all Skylanders and
because I do dream in Minecraft sometimes.
No, I know. I've spooned you while you sleep, and I've heard you muttering.
That's not true.
I'm just spreading. Nothing I say may be true. I just like spreading falsehoods along with truths, and just letting the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, Hyle's a big fan of postmodern gay panic.
It's not. No, I'm trying to embrace the fact that we are in a man love relationship.
You want to take another call?
Our final call of the episode.
Yeah.
Let's take it.
Thank God.
Hello, Conversation. Hello, Todd. Hello, Hyle. So I have to make this call quick because it's a very busy schedule. Blah blah. Anyway, so for the Yooka-Laylee trailer, the Yooka-Laylee news. I remember there was this. This was in the IGN 6-minute playthrough of the Yooka-Laylee game. There was this pig named Sir Scott a lot, and he's like this gluttonous pig with donuts on his belt and all that. Anyways, and also I remember a while ago in the Edge magazine we got a preview at another character named Lady Leap-A-Lot, I believe her name is, and yeah, Lady Leap-A-Lot. And basically I was wondering if what other pig character you guys might see, because both Lady Leap-A-Lot and Sir Scoffs-A-Lot are both part of the group called the Knights of Ham-A-Lot. So I was wondering if you guys think there's another pig in the group or other character, and what do you think that character might be and all that. So yeah, sorry for the quick message, very busy schedule and all that, but yeah. Anyway, thanks, bye.
Excellent. I don't know that this caller said their name, but the caller ID came up as Evan from a previous episode. So I think it might be might be Evan.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Hyle, you ready for another Simpsons reference?
All right, let's get it over with.
Whoever the next character is, I'm sure they were featured in the 1977 film The Muppets Go Medieval, which also referenced to Ham-A-Lot.
Yes. No, the Knights of Ham-A-Lot. Yeah, we haven't really discussed this. They are a bunch of pigs. Rare and Rarelum love pigs, and because Banjo-Tooie had a whole plethora of them, and then Retro kind of carry that with the Oinks.
And let's not forget Wizpig.
Well, of course, Wizpig. But yeah, now what's his name? Sir Ham-A-Lot or Sir Scoffs-A-Lot? Sir Scoffs-A-Lot. Yeah. He's got a belt of donuts. Mm-hmm. Dunkin' Donuts is a donut chain. Is that a reference to Craig Duncan?
No.
I'm just fucking with you at this point. Anything you like? Do you think that this actually, the thought occurred to me because I've been looking for what character or characters could be the next Playtonic game, because we know they're going to be in Yooka-Laylee somewhere. Do you think the Knights of Hamelot fit that criteria?
I think that the next Playtonic game will be another Yooka-Laylee game.
You think they're going to go directly to the sequel? I think
they probably will. It seems like, to me, that considering you've got a Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, and they're obviously replicating the first one with so much zeal, I think it makes sense that their next game is going to be another Yooka-Laylee game. But I could totally see many of these ancillary characters showing up in that again. I think that this is more indicative of a future world. I think we may, especially given that they're all storybook based. I think it's really possible that we might see a medieval themed stage. We might even be going to Hamelot.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Or else they're just doing the Kazooie thing of teasing us for the sequel. But no, I definitely think we're going to be getting a medieval stage, which is something Banjo didn't really do, did it?
Not really. No. Did we?
We got a
Pocket Tales.
Yeah, we got a Ren Fair stage in Conqueror's Pocket Tales. But besides that, with everybody's favorite boss, Waldorf.
Yeah, maybe Creepy Castle.
Character. Well, Creepy Castle in Donkey Kong 64, that doesn't really count though. That's more just like, oh, here's an old castle and it's kind of haunted. Woo.
Yeah. So there's a lot of untapped ground to work with. That was like a mixing three metaphors. That was amazing.
And also, we never really got a jungle world in the Banjo series either. We got like variations or something like that walked up to that line, but never went full jungle, because obviously that was the domain of Donkey Kong. So,
yes.
I so far I like what I'm seeing of the announced and implied worlds of Yooka-Laylee. They are exploring different territory than the Banjo series. Even the Ice World is different, you know.
Yeah, certainly. Well, you've also got Crystal Caves though that's similar to the Ice World, but I think in all these cases they certainly differentiate themselves enough to be fresh. I will say one thing that I noticed with several of the characters so far, including Mr. Scoffs-a-Lot, is that Laylee makes a snarky remark about the character's name, which seems consistent with the original series, but you may recall that only actually happens to two characters, Old King Cole and Crispy Bacon, because they were actually named by contest winners on an old Rareware website contest. And so in the dialogue, Banjo and Kazooie call out the really tortured pun nature of their names.
I like how Rare put down their fans in such glorious glee back then.
Yeah. Well, it was sort of like it was an extension of Scribes, where like you wanted to submit a picture that was called a rubbish picture attachment.
And to be fair, Chris P. Bacon is really an atrocious name, and it's not even that original, considering there's many variations on that pun for pigs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
yeah. At any rate, I hope they don't snark on every single character's name, but yeah, it's nice to get a little bit more flavoring on what Yooka and Laylee's personalities are. Laylee more so than Yooka at this point.
Yeah, Yooka is still kind of a blank slate for me. I really don't have a handle on what his character is. Laylee is just a snarky asshole.
Laylee is Kazooie.
Yeah, essentially, which is fine.
Yeah.
All right.
What about the fart bubble move? What do you reckon?
Oh yeah, the fart bubble move. This was kind of a controversy, if you want to call it that. So yeah. There's a fart bubble move underwater where Yooka and Laylee, Yooka farts. Suffers a case of flatulence, and they kind of get inside the fart bubble and they can walk around underwater.
Yeah, and it looks like it's a little slipperier and floatier, which makes perfect sense.
Depends what Yooka ate, how slippery it is.
Yeah, I suppose so. I was thinking about this. I immediately, when I first watched it, I thought, I don't like that, and then it was pointed out very fairly that Kazooie literally shat out eggs with a fart noise throughout the entirety of that series. So I was like, okay, why why is it that I'm so averse to this? And I think I finally nailed it today when I was reflecting on it. I think it's the lack of animation that it just goes no, seriously, it goes from horizontal swimming, fart noise with no reaction or anything, vertically standing underwater. And that may just be owing to the fact that the game is still in development. But I think if there was some kind of animation of Yooka, and I mean this with all sincerity, forcing out the fart, and then Laylee maybe making a reaction face of and actually smoothly transitioning the character from horizontal to vertical, that might have gone a long way toward making it feel more legitimate in the world. I think the way that it was depicted in the trailer, it feels more like a mechanic with a fart sound effect.
So what you're saying, Chad, is you actually require seeing Yuka's sphincter widening as he lets out this gaseous flatulence.
You always go unnecessarily blue. I don't know what it is about your brain that makes you do this. This is not the Banjo-Poonzuni episode, and yet you can't help yourself.
It's just a game I play. I don't know. It's just to entertain me while we do this. I guess I don't really have a problem with the lack of animation. Although, sure, I'd be all for getting gross with it. But to me, it just kind of suggests that Yooka may actually be a disgusting character.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
I can see
that's part of it. Like, I want to see a little bit of reaction or like you get nothing. It's nothing from the characters, and then you're transitioned into this new mechanic.
See, here's the thing: like Banjo had the voice and personality of a bumpkin, but he was also kind of demure in a lot of ways. He would never, pass gas. Maybe when he was like just a slob at the beginning of Nuts and Bolts, but it would be Kazooie who would be gross, and Banjo would scold her for it. So for Yooka to be so overtly disgusting,
maybe the animation would have Yooka look ashamed, like, oh my god, and Laylee makes a face or something. It just needs a little bit more character, but I'm sure that's in progress. I don't want to harp on it too much.
Yuka's a chameleon, so maybe he could turn completely red.
Yeah, perfect. That's actually kind of perfect.
Yeah. There you go, Playtonic. You can have that one for free. But otherwise, I don't mind the fart move. It's I'm not going to ever be so urbane in my sense of humor where I'm ashamed of farting in a video game I play. Yeah, farts are fine in moderation. It's how you execute the fart joke.
Yes, and the mechanic itself of being able to run around in an underwater arena is itself really cool. I'm surprised, honestly, that Banjo-Kazooie or Tooie didn't have something like that. It makes perfect sense.
I always said, Kongs breathe air bubbles underwater. That's how they stay underwater so long. So this is just an extension of that. Why, who's to say the Kongs weren't just breathing their own farts the whole time?
Yeah, they can apparently subsist on methane.
I learned that at Monkeyland.
One more thing to call out. We saw a lot more in the 6-minute video of the minecart sequences with Kartos.
Yeah, these look fun. They look like they look like 3D minecart sequences that would have naturally evolved from more 3D Donkey Kong games.
To me, they're ripped straight out of Tropical Freeze. Yeah,
well, and that was what we said. I mean, we said that Tropical Freeze's more 3D-esque minecart stages were kind of what 3D minecarting in Donkey Kong should be. I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
I think one thing that I did notice that I think might be a little problematic, maybe it's an opportunity for them to massage it a bit, is when the minecart takes more harsher turns, the camera really whips around because it seems like it's locked 90 degrees away from the cart. I think maybe if those camera movements were smoothed out a bit, especially considering you apparently have a boost move, I think that might help keep it clear where the cart is in relation to the obstacles on the track. It seemed like it would be really, really difficult, maybe bordering on frustrating to get through it with the camera being so locked in. But again, this is well within their time frame to refine such things. So
Yeah, I'm not worried about little details like that. I'm fully.
But this is DK Vine, Hyle.
No, I'm worried about details that matter, Chad. Like, what is the name of all of the inept-style robots in Ivory Tower? And if they're all named Andy Robinson, how do we tell the Andy Robinsons apart? That's the stuff that
Hyle
keeps me
doesn't
up at night.
concern himself with the business of actually playing the games.
No, that's never fun, Chad. That's never fun. I know how to have fun. Andy Robinson.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.